Hi guys, how's it going? Miller here, back again. And it's here. The release has come, or the announcement for the release of Epic Pike and Shot has come. And it is due for release later on in April. But pre-orders start from the 17th of this month, which is February. And I am in awe. I knew when it was announced, or not announced, but I knew when the idea of people talking about it was going on that I would be interested in having a look at the sprues, or at least seeing what it was like, and just seeing the announcement photos and hearing the announcement, and I'm sold. Definitely need to get my hands on a sprue at some point, whether it be waiting for the release or when they'll probably release one with Wargames Illustrated at some point. But yeah, artwork of the box looks brilliant, and the contents of the box looks amazing. Definitely some value for money with these boxes, which could be the same to say for the previous releases that they've done for them. So let's have a look what they've got inside them. Here we go. Now that is a lot of stuff that you are going to get inside this box. From what I can see, you're going to get 14 regiments of foot across two sides, 6 regiments or 6 troops of harquebusiers, 2 units of cuirassiers, 2 units of mounted and dismounted dragoons, 6 Saker cannons, 6 falconets, and 6 commanders. I think that's a lot. I don't know. Did I say the commander shot? There's loads. There's loads in there. Not to mention the Manor House with the walls and the gatehouse. Great value for money. Well, at least I hope it is, because it doesn't look like they've released the prices yet. We'll find them out on the 17th when the pre-orders go up. But if it's anything like the others, then I think, what were the others? I think they're about £160. I could be massively wrong, but the amount. If you had that many units for 28mm, you're looking at thousands. And as much as I'd hate to admit it, I think trying to fight this period in this scale is going to be a lot easier for the tactics. It's a lot harder trying to have your cavalry run around the outsides after a small skirmishes on the sides, and effectively fighting how the battles would have been fought at the time. So it's going to be interesting to play a game with these, especially in this scale. Always wanted to do it in a smaller scale. So definitely excited for it. Let's have a look at some of the sprues. So these are the infantry sprues. You get 80 men on these sprues. So you get 40 men that make up the pike block, with 10 of them being on the front row, making up the pikemen at port, which are the pikes up into the air as if ready to present against cavalry or against infantry. And then you also get 2 units of 20 musketeers. The musketeers are at rest, so they're not in a firing pose. But looking at the commanded shot, I don't see why there wouldn't be a reason why you couldn't mix a couple of the commanded shot in with them and make them look like they're firing. And the other thing, obviously, that they've made the point before with the American Civil War one and the Napoleonic one, is the sprues are different colours. So you can quite easily just clip them off the sprue, put them on the bases, and have a game straight away without painting them up, and paint them gradually as you want to go, which is good. Depends, obviously, whether or not the person you're playing with is happy with that, but I see no reason when you start off with this, if you can have a battle straight away, why not? I think visually the pike units work really well. They show exactly what the pike unit's meant to do. You've actually got a block of pike with 2 wings of musketeers. I suppose if you wanted to make larger units, you could add more rows of the second row of pikes to behind to make it a larger unit, or make it a bit wider possibly. And the same with the muskets. You could have deeper musket blocks to represent larger units. In these box, or in a box, when you can buy them in the individual infantry packs, you would get 3. So a battalion, so you get 3 of these sprues, making up 3 regiments of foot. And I think, again, good value for money. I mean, what would it cost? £60, or it used to be £20 for the 28mm with 40 infantry in a box. And I mean, you're getting 80 per sprue, and you're getting that 3 times. It's going to be so much more cheaper than doing it in 28s. But if you want the 28mm visuals, then I can highly understand. I mean, I've got a 28mm army, and I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just going to have both. Let's have a look at the cavalry. Okay, so this is the cavalry sprue, and this sprue seems to be one of the main sprues, or the best sprues out of the lot so far, as it seems to have most of the bits that me and Robin and a couple of the other people were thinking would be separate purchases, like Cast or metals or something like that. They've done with the Napoleonics and with the ACW, things like the cuirassiers. or the dragoons. But on this, you get your 3 troops of horse, some small unit cuirassiers, dragoons, mounted and dismounted, a light and a medium/heavy cannon, a general with a flag bearer, which seems quite cool because it seems like you might be able to take him away with a different flag and you can change the commander. And you get a unit of commander's shot, which are the ones that I think you could maybe swap out with the front row of the musketeers from the other units, and they'd be quite cool for making it a bit more visual than just the static infantry. But visually, I think that they'll work really well. Again, I think you'll need 3 sprues of these to make up all the units that are shown. Like with the Napoleonic stuff, it had the cavalry split across so many sprues to make up the units. But I think it works really, really well. And I like the fact that you've got lots and lots of cannons and cavalry and choices. I think that some of the things then that might be sire carved will be things like maybe they might do some mortars or some like specific commanders. It'd be interesting to see what they do. Maybe some storming parties or something like that might be the resin ones. So it'd be interesting to see what you get. Now, something I shouldn't make a mistake with this is that it's not just specifically English Civil War. It's also for the 30 Years' War, another great conflict or series of conflicts that were happening on the continent at the time or just before. So you get all the flag sheets for both that and the English Civil War flags, a good wide variety of choices for flags, and I will definitely be doing both sides with this. So they're both in there, and I think be interesting to see how big the flags are to see whether or not you can get other flags for different units. I think I ended up going with the War Games flags, which had some really, really nice simple designs and they work really, really well. So I think I've got some left over. I might try and reuse some of them as well. So also in this, we also get this walled manor house, which really, really nice. Simple design. Hoping the walls are maneuverable so you can change the design or the layout of them. You know, it'd be quite nice to do things like Basing House, which I know there was quite a few conflicts at, or some other little houses. I know there was a manor house that was discovered quite recently by some archaeologists. So I saw it on an archaeology program about one that was supposedly the first skirmish of the English Civil War, as opposed to one that was at Cropendy Bridge. So pretty fascinating. It'd be quite cool to reenact it, even if it's just a smaller scale battle. Like I said before as well, we've also got the A5 small pike and shot rulebook, which again I've not read the other ones for the Napoleonic one or the ACW, sorry. So I'm not too sure whether or not this change any of the scales or anything. But even if they don't, there's no reason why you couldn't scale it down, half rule it. But it might have some cool scenarios in it and some cool more images. Always got like a bit of wargaming porn, if you know what I mean. So yeah, looking forward to having that open. But let's have a look at the deals that they've also got coming out on the pre-orders. So there's the all-in collection, which comes with the main Push of Pike starter set. Seems to come with an extra 2 boxes of infantry, one for the 30 Years' War and one for the English Civil War. 2 units of the cavalry wings, again, 30 Years' War and English Civil War. You get the casualty markers. You also get the village set, and it seems to throw in a few free gun bastions for an assault on a town or something like that. Pretty good value for money. I'm surprised that they haven't done some sort of main general, whether it be the King or be Cromwell or Essex or something like that. I know they did that for the ACW stuff, so I'm surprised they haven't put that out in release. Maybe that will come maybe a little bit later with the general pack, like what they've recently done with the Napoleonic stuff. Hopefully they do, because I think you need them. Hopefully it's not too much money as well, as I don't have tons of money to just fork out on this, and I know the problem is I'm going to want to. The other packs that you can get is you get the English Civil War Premium Pack, or just the pure English Civil War one, which, again, I don't know why they've not just done this the same as the all-in one, where it's just English Civil War or just all in 30 Years' War, but they do this one and the 30 Years' War one. It's the same, but without the 30 years stuff and without the towns. Then you also got the Battlefield Collection, which is just the standard set that comes with all of the scenery and the free gun emplacements and the casualty markers. And then you've got the ones which are specifically set for battles. Now, they seem to be very cavalry heavy battles. So you've got the Battle of Winstonby for the English Civil War and the Battle of Wittenfield for the 30 Years' War. very random battles, if you ask me. I mean, the Battle of Winceby is a pretty cool battle as a parliamentarian victory, and if any of you know, I'm pro-parliamentarian, so that's why I like it. But it was Earl of Manchester and Oliver Cromwell managed to smash a royalist army, mainly with cavalry, where they drew them in and pretty much ambushed them in a sense. It was, I think there was around, what was it, 200 to 300 casualties for the royalists and 800 prisoners to 20 dead for the parliamentarians. So a bit of a smashing victory on the parliamentarian side, if you ask me. But again, they're not very specific battles. If anything, I thought they would focus things like Battle of Marston Moor or even just Naseby or something for English Civil War battles. But maybe they're trying to push to get more cavalry out. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll find out in the future what else they've got to offer. So just a couple of final thoughts on this. I'm really impressed with the way they look. I know I said before, but I really wanted to see what it looked like before I got any excitement for it. And the second I've seen it, I thought, yeah, I'm really pleased with the way they look. And I think they're going to work really well. Like I said, I thought that maybe they would focus something bigger, maybe Marston Moor, because you've got another army there. You know, I've got Covenanters there, and they haven't said anything about them yet. But I'm hoping maybe they'll do something like what they did with the Prussians for Waterloo, where they did it as a separate army later on. So maybe Covenanters will come later, so you can do things like Marston Moor. But I think they've pretty much covered most of the bases with unit types. I mean, there might be some firelocks or some things like storming parties or mortars, maybe some other heavy cannons and maybe some generals. Maybe that's what we've got to look forward to in the future with extra bits. I can't see there being any sort of specific units. I know you have things like the Imperial Guard for the French and the Highlanders were specific units, but with this you don't really have them. Maybe what we'll see is some Lifeguards or some Ironsides for, well, Lifeguards for the Royalists and Ironsides for the Parliamentarians. Maybe some heavier cavalry, because it seems a bit general, just arquebusiers. When they weren't really known for being arquebusiers, they were just, you know, cavalry. So maybe some different cavalry types will come out. But you're not going to see things like, well, I don't think you'll see things like heavy infantry, because you just don't have them. But yeah, hopefully a load of other people are interested in this. I've seen quite a bit of hype on the Plastic Crack podcast. If any of you guys watched that, we've all been talking about it for ages. There's rumours and things that it could have been Romans and things like that, and whether or not they just tried to make it sound like it wasn't going to be this, because a lot of people kind of knew. A lot of people have spoken to me over the last year or so about wanting to get into Pike and Shot, whether they've seen things on my channel or others. And I think this is probably the best way for you to get into it. So go for it.